everyone. So tonight I've got my family coming over. I'm gonna cook them autumn chicken, which is a slow cooked chicken thigh with apple and onion. I'm also gonna do a roasted beet salad as well as roasted butternut squash soup. I got the decorations up for Halloween coming soon, and let's get ready to cook. Well, first of all, we got to figure out what we're making, which means we have to start with Google. It's October here in Michigan, and the colors are bright and vibrant, and I'd like to get some fall flavors that match that. So I usually think chickens and some savory flavors with bright colors. So I Googled autumn and chicken, and go figure, there's a recipe called autumn chicken. Butternut squash soup has always been one of my favorite dishes, and I've always wanted to try to make it, so let's go for it. Lastly, I needed a lighter dish, so I was thinking salad, and I found a great beet salad recipe that had that nice purple color that would go well with the orange of the butternut squash soup. Now, if you guys want to make these dishes for yourself, I actually put the recipes down below into the description. Once I find these recipes, I like copying and pasting them into Google Calendar. That way I can easily access them again while I'm cooking or while I'm shopping for ingredients. Now for timing of the meal. I knew most of this meal had slow cooking and slow roasting, but I still had to figure out the timing, as timing's always important when cooking. Family was gonna be over at 6, so I knew I wanted dinner around 6:37, and I needed 4 hours for the chicken thighs to cook in the slow cooker. So I ended up starting that around 2 p.m., and I actually started prepping around 1:45. Now for prep, I got the cutting board out, the slow cooker, and then I set the oven to 400. I started cutting up all the vegetables that I needed. Carrots, potatoes, onions, and butternut squash for the soup, then more onions and gala apples for the autumn chicken dish, all of which I cut into fairly large chunks. Now to start the autumn chicken, for the chicken thighs, I put salt and pepper on each side of the chicken thighs and then got a big pan that could fit everything, and I heated that up. I added a little bit of vegetable oil, fried each side of the chicken just to brown it up for a couple minutes. Then I added that chicken to the slow cooker and topped it with the apples. I added the onions to the same pan that the chicken was cooked in, so I could actually use some of that delicious fond at the bottom of the pan. Now, if you don't know what fond is, it's actually that brown stuff at the bottom of the pan, and that stuff is packed with flavor. So what you want to do is deglaze it, and what you do is you take it to the faucet, put a little bit of water, and then I scrape the pan in order to release some of that flavor back into the onions. After the onions cooked for a while and got soft, I added some minced garlic. Then it was time to add a little bit more flavor to get the base of the autumn chicken going. So for this, I used apple juice, apple cider, barbecue sauce, honey, and some of the leftover barbecue sauce I actually made from scratch back in the summer. After tasting it, I cooked the sauce down a little bit just to thicken it up, and then I added the sauce with the onions to the slow cooker. I set that on high for about an hour to get it going, and then after about an hour, it went back to low for about 3 hours. Now on to roasting. The beets for the salad I actually washed off. I wrapped it in aluminum foil, then I stuck that in the oven for about 40 minutes to roast. Butternut squash is really huge and it's hard as a rock, so I knew it was going to take a lot longer to cook. So I actually roasted the squash for about an hour, hour and a half at 400. Now while the beets and squash were in the oven, I actually had some time to kill. Now I had some Halloween decorations set up for my family, so I actually lit some candles and shot some footage. Now after 40 minutes had gone by, I put the onion, potato, carrots, and garlic onto a cookie sheet with some aluminum foil. And then I tossed it with some olive oil and salt, then threw those in the oven for about 40 minutes. Now to start the beet salad, I pulled the beets out of the oven, I stabbed them to test how done they were, and then these puppies were steaming hot, so I ended up putting them in the fridge to cool down before needing to take off the skin. Now beets are perfect for Halloween because you stab them, you rip off their skin, and then they bleed all over the place. Funny enough, my family walked in right as I was stabbing the beets, so hopefully I didn't freak them out too much. My sister actually wanted to help out, so I gave her the best job, which was the messiest job of cleaning the beets. While she was doing that, I worked on the balsamic vinaigrette for the beet salad. So what I used was balsamic vinegar, Dijon mustard, olive oil, garlic, and then some salt and pepper. Now I typically like making my vinaigrettes by just tasting it over and over again. I'm not really good about following recipes sometimes, so it actually took me longer than it should have, but it came out pretty darn good. After that, I toasted some pecans for the salad just to add another layer of toasted goodness. My sister then put the rest of the salad together with dried cranberries, feta cheese, and an arugula spinach mix. So with the beets done, toasted pecans done, and balsamic vinaigrette made, the salad itself is done, and we mixed it together and popped it into the fridge. I quickly checked the autumn chicken. I poked it with a thermometer to check for 165 degrees just to make sure it was done. Then I lowered the cooker to warm. Now moving on to get the soup going, I pulled everything out of the oven and dumped it all into a large pot. Now I actually had to let the squash cool for a little bit, as scooping it out of the rind was pretty hard, so I did not need to scald myself on top of that. But after that, I made sage butter, which I've actually never done before. I followed the directions as close as I could, but I kind of skipped the whole turn it down step. So I ended up burning it a little bit, but it still came out pretty good. I mixed that in with the chicken broth and a lot of maple syrup. Then I turned it down and let it cook for about a half hour or so. Now since I had some time while the soup was simmering, I actually made a cider and cinnamon spiced whiskey cocktail, and I must say it came out pretty good. Now after letting the soup simmer for about a half hour, I got to do the fun part of blending the soup. Now I ain't all fancy with one of those emulsion blenders, so I did have to manually scoop it out by ladle. It really wasn't that hard. I'm just glad the blender didn't explode, spewing molten hot lava all over my beautiful kitchen. After blending, I mixed in a splash of apple cider vinegar and salt. I also put in cayenne, which made it a little bit on the spicy side, but it actually worked out pretty good because I used creme fraiche as a garnish, and it helped balance that spiciness out. And of course, more maple syrup to really drive that fall flavor home. And that's it. I topped the soup with some chopped chives and put the autumn chicken and beet salad in serving bowls, and then we ate. Now I could have taken more time to do lighting and shoot the glamour shots of the food, but the one thing I learned about food photography is the food's always cold by the time you get to eat it. But in the end, everybody loved it, and I'm very happy with the way it came out.
I just finished up your delicious soup. Oh my God, so good. So good. I mean, it was like, oh my God, so good. I'm like, I could have had so much more. It was really delicious.
Now, if you like this video and want to see more just like it, hit the like and subscribe thingy. You know what to do. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys later. While the soup was simmering, I had a cider and cinnamon spice cocktail. There we go. Soup was simmering, I made a cider and cinnamon cider Since I had some time while the soup was simmering, since I had some, I can't do this.